Hi, today I have something to share that I think and believe that it comes from the Lord and that something that He has placed in my heart to share. Now, before we dive in, I want to read a short passage that some of you may already know, but I encourage you to hear it today with fresh ears because sometimes God uses what's familiar to open up something brand new. So let's listen together to Jesus' words in Matthew 11, verse 7 through 15. This is what it says. As John's disciples were leaving, Jesus began to speak to the crowd about John. What did you go out into the wilderness to see? A reed swayed by the wind? If not, what did you go out to see? A man dressed in fine clothes? No, those who wear fine clothes are in king's palaces. Then what did you go out to see? A prophet? Yes, I tell you, and more than a prophet. This is the one about whom it is written, I will send my messenger ahead of you, who will prepare your way before you. Truly, I tell you, among those born of woman, there has not risen anyone greater than John the Baptist. Yet whoever is least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than he. From the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven has been subject to violence, and violent people have been raiding it. For all the prophets and the law prophesied until John. And if you are willing to accept it, he is the Elijah who was to come. Whoever has ears, let them hear. Now, here's where it gets personal. As I was reading that, I felt this strong urge. What if we turn that question Jesus asks about John and aim it at the church? What if Jesus stood in front of us today and asked, what did you come out to see? When you walk into a church or tune into a service, what are you expecting? A performance? A motivational speech? A concert? Or are you really looking for an encounter with God? Jesus said, did you go out to see a reed sway by the wind? In other words, someone who's easily moved, someone who falls under pressure or changes with the culture. Let's be real, some churches today, they become just that, blown around by trends, by opinions, by fear of being canceled. But the church isn't called to bend with every breeze. The church is called to stand firm on the rock even when the wind howls. Then Jesus asks, did you go out to see a man in soft clothes? Those kind of people, he say, lives in palaces. Today, that hits different because some churches have become more about comfort and polish than conviction and power, more about the show than the spirit. Nothing wrong with good sound or clean spaces, but if that's all we're after, are we going to church or to a theater? And finally, Jesus asks, did you go out to see a prophet? Because prophets don't come to entertain. They come to interrupt your comfort zone. They call things out. They prepare the way for something greater. That's what John did. He wasn't popular. He wasn't polished, but he was powerful. His message, repent, heaven, not soft, not subtle, but absolutely necessary. Then Jesus drops a bomb. If you are willing to accept it, he is Elijah. Not Elijah reincarnated, but someone who came in the same spirit, bold, prophetic, uncompromising. Elijah in the Old Testament called Israel back to God. John called his generation to prepare their hearts for Jesus. And now, what if we, the church, are meant to carry that same spirit today? To prepare people for Jesus' return, to be that voice crying out in the wilderness of a confused and broken world. So again, I ask you, what did you come to see? A sermon that entertains? A service that fits your schedule? Or are you looking for God to disrupt you in the best way possible? Because if we keep coming just to see a reed or a robe, we'll miss the voice of God. And worse, we'll miss our chance to be used by Him. The church doesn't need more polish. It needs more prophets. It needs people willing to stand firm when culture sways. People who hunger not for soft words, but for truth. And maybe that starts with you, with me, asking God to light that fire again. Because whoever has ears to hear, let them hear.